In the misty hills of Garo, old ways and fate meet. A young couple, Khalsin and Sonatchi, lived there. Their love was very strong and could overcome any problem. Now let's start their story. Khalsin Aro Sonatchi, perhaps the earliest Garo novel, tells the timeless tale of forbidden love between two souls. The eponymous heroes, Khalsin and Sonatchi, endure struggles familiar to star-crossed lovers throughout history. Their story serves as an archetype for the Garo community, just as Romeo and Juliet defined passion for subsequent generations. According to historian Milton S. Sangmar's seminal work, History of Garo Writing, the novel was penned by Redin Momin before his death in 1972. It was later published posthumously by Tura Bookroom, bringing Khalsin and Sonatchi's emotional journey to readers. Though simply told, the narrative profoundly shaped understandings of tradition and transformation among the Garo people. While debates remain around questions of authorship, the novel's impact cannot be overstated. It awakened in readers' recognition of their shared humanity across boundaries. In the literal approach, the story Khalsin Aro Sonatchi is accredited to have been written by Redin Momin. In the foreword of the novel, the distributor, Grimchi C. Marak, stated that Redin Momin was the essential school instructor, and then followed that comment by stating that at this age, and with the experience, he was able to write such a developed fiction novel. In his capacity as an author, he has been very useful. It can therefore be affirmed that he penned Ramayana in Garo, Kata Shisak, Shibisik, and Gipin Golporang. Subsequently, after his retirement, hence he rather conveniently composed around doing pious services as well as performances. In the same presentation of the novel, Redin Momin wrote that the story of Khalsin and Sonatchi was told in several forms in several places in the Garo slopes. It is also important that this story too has been written in a play shape by Julius LR Marak with varieties, and the first one is in the title of the male hero, whose name is spelt in a small k, rather than capital K, as is seen in the novel where it is written Khalsin, while in the play it is written Khalsin. The creator understood that novel integrates pre-modern lifestyle, education setting, dressing tendency, thoughts and speech in Garo community. He said the novel has articulated the spirit of the contemporary chik morality and manners, and hoped that the modern chiks would take the best out of the story and perfect and preserve it at the same time. The Garo or chik community has a strong tradition of verbal comprehensibility. Its stories, its melodies, its proverbs, its prayers, its rituals, and, in fact, the laws that regulate society are passed on orally. It was, as it were, with the coming of Christianity that the chiks were made to embrace the Roman script. Altogether, it was easier then using the Bengali script, and with the start of the year 1902 noted a new daybreak to a new phase in chik composing. That was the year when the Roman script came to constrain fully, and when no other scripts seemed to capture the essence of the civilization at that time. However, the writing still did not gain the much-needed development, though an attempt still continued by few of the formerly schooled chiks to write stories, lyrics, and in quest of other forms of writing. Thus, in a chiku, or Garo language, volume is felt to be greater in this genre of verse than in other forms. This may be so, since most of their verbal representations are ideal in form. History of Garo Writing by Milton S. Sangmar traces the line of Garo, chik, writing only through the format of verbal and conventional writing. Garo composed writing was introduced in with the compilation of Garo words. The first to compose the frame of the Garo dialect were the British authorities and American Baptist teachers at the turn of the last decade of the 18th century. All these compilations of the Garo vocabularies were published and disseminated by the Regal Asiatic Society of Bengal, Calcutta. This was taken after by different lexicons, including Bengali Garo Dictionary in 1863 by Reverend Ramki W. Momin, won the earliest 2 chik interpreters. The compilations were paid in Roman and Bengali scripts. From there, more course readings and devout books were taken after. As for that, however, in the case of Garo dialect, the definite decision was made in 1902 to accept the Roman script. Among the several focuses of development of Garo writing, there is the Garo translation of the scripture, 1874, 1924. We may specify Garo mainstream writing as having starting in 1924 with the circulation of such writings as folklores, stories, social ponder, papers, and so on. The initial Garo play, Nokdang, Family, by Kenneth M. Momin, was published in 1969. Nonetheless, the initial Garo novel, Khalsin Aro Sonatchi, was published in 1972. Khalsin Aro Sonatchi is a mammoth novel framed focusing the Goalpara, which is at present lying on the southeast of Assam, and some part of Goalpara is in Dhaka, in Sho, Bangladesh. The novel is, in fact, the sentimental tale of a society where cherish reaches the ultimate pinnacle of victory. It too refers to instruction in general, as well as women's instruction in particular. It is set at a time when both instruction and Christianity had halfway maiden passage among the Garos. It was the time when Meghalaya and Assam were part of one single entity or just plain geography, if one were to go by strictly geographical or political integration. It is, however, true that there many are Garo towns in the Meghalaya-Assam border region of today. Thus there is also in a way an opposing of value systems, which is Christian and the pre-Beverly Hills social culture of chik. Encoded in 155 pages, set the novel of Khalsin and Sonatchi, familiar to every Garo. Though the versions are completely diverse, it enjoys great reception among the Garo readers and occupies a high place in Garo literature. It has also become a canonical concern and was incorporated into the MA syllabus of Garo writing. Sonatchi is a very pretty and is from a rich family, while Khalsin can be a rejected girl. They are most desperately in love with each other. Khalsin does not stay long in a location, but wades off to Dhaka in order to teach. Erasing Sonatchi, he has profound promises of her to remember and to treasure as long as he lives. He then moves to Dhaka, where he is able to get a domestic in the house of a Bengali lawyer. Khalsin entrances well in his ponders and then becomes her instructor. Sonatchi cannot go ahead with her ponders. She is forced into the marriage by her father, with the groom being his nephew Chandra. In any case, Sonatchi even hates the shadow of Chandra. Chandra gets a mate by the name Malsin, who is a specialist in homegrown medication. It is now fixed that Sonatchi will be married to Chandra. This is in assertion of the legal ages that have now been fixed for marriage. However, to Sonatchi is truly incapacitated. Chandra arrives, bearing the chemical which the Kaviraj Malsin has prepared in a phial and capsule. As a result of the medication, Sonatchi is rendered unconscious and thus buried with a great deal of immediacy. Chandra and Malsin go to the burial put with the intention of burying her, but with an intention of stealing her. But Chandra and Malsin fail in their dubious enterprise. Sonatchi regains consciousness, and so does she. She wanders off to Dhaka in search of education and Khalsin. She is given a loving home in the house of a reverend who assists her to continue with her studies and in the process gets herself a job. Khalsin and Sonatchi meet in Dhaka after 9 long time. They finally do so and move to Dhaka after few years of their marriage. At home they become the head and shoulders of the family, taking all major decisions about the same in their own hands. To date, the novel reserves a permanent place in the Garo readership's heart, across the generations. Other than that, it symbolises the beginning of modern fiction, composing in the Garo language context. Perhaps the most current version of this novel may be a must-look at. The language used is simple, concise, and grasping to the holders of the text, whatever the academic level they may have. The depiction of the pre-independent India geopolitical reality in the novel creates a desire of the sweetness of the past wealth. This is usually one book which deserves to be translated into various dialects of the northeastern region because it would extend the feeling of the region's common enthusiastic world.